All right. So today I wanted to jump into the price action for Bitcoin. I want to provide a little market update here and just kind of touch on what developments we've seen in the price action today on some of the lower time frames. Um, so we know nothing to be concerned about here in the Bitcoin price action. We were expecting to pull back off of that 44,000 level. Okay. We know that we were coming up on some big Fibonacci levels. Um, and we were also kind of extended out on the RSI and some of our oscillating indicators that we kind of rely on for timing and for helping us catch the big swings. So we're gonna basically take a top down look at Bitcoin today on the log scale chart, and I do want to start off with a blank screen here and pull that in there like that. Let's hide that there so we can see the full screen right there like that. All right, so here we go. We're on TradingView, right, and we're looking at the Bitcoin weekly chart. So we can see when we zoom in that we closed last week pretty strong. Today's Monday, so we did start to see a little bit of a slow start to the week for Bitcoin coming here, dropping from 44,000 to 40,000. So when you first take a look at this chart and you're wondering, why is it pulling back today? Well, let's go ahead and put the drawings back on. I know that messes the screen up quite a bit, but essentially we're coming into this 141 extension, and that's off of the old bear market cycle, if you will, right? Taking the Fibonacci from the top there to the bottom there. So we're looking at the extensions to help guide us. We saw big respect um, initially on these extension levels when we were topping out, back in 2021. So we knew that once we saw this price action, it was all validated that the traders were watching it, and the big money was using these levels to basically scale out of their positions ahead of the bear market. So we're using them again. We're expecting them to show that same level of respect. And so that's essentially what I'm gathering here. Just on the weekly chart, is we pushed up past the 127 over here, and we made it all the way up to the 141. And we do see that there's still a 161 hanging out way up there, about 60K. And ultimately, I do believe that this will probably pull back into that 127 again around the 35K level before we can build up enough momentum for, the new all-time high push, most likely in Q2 of next year. So this is really bottoming it out nicely. And just to see a pullback like this makes total sense. I'm going to jump into my RSI template here. Give me 1 second, because I want to show you how overbought this was, right? So let me jump into the Fibonacci, or sorry, the RSI bands, because I want to show you guys how this pulled back so nicely. All right. So let's go ahead and simplify this chart. So, as many of you guys are aware, we take a Fibonacci from the bottom to the top, right, and we look for the retracements. So again, with this weekly price action, I'll get rid of this trend line, and we can see we also wicked off of the 61.8 on the Fibonacci's, which is a 61% retracement of this whole move from the bottom there to the top there. That's a 61% retracement. So we can easily come down into this 50%, which is around 37K, and we could test this level here and bounce around for the next couple of weeks. But I want to take the fibs off there, and I kind of want to just show what the RSI looks like. Okay, because the RSI is super stretched out, and remember, I'm using for my parameters, I'm using for my inputs, 75% is going to be the overbought level, 25% is going to be the oversold level, and this is a 14 period RSI. So we're looking at the weekly chart, we're looking at 14 weeks, okay? So what that tells me is right now, based on the past 14 weeks of trading volume, where the 50% mark, where the 50% market equilibrium of buyers and sellers is is right now at about 23K. Okay, so it's not totally impossible that we could come down even to 25K if there is a big crash and we get some, maybe some macroeconomic factors that contribute as well. But we know that this weekly RSI is going to get big time respect. We saw back in the day when we wicked off that 50% RSI level. Remember, this is the black squiggly line coming in here. This is the 50% level of buyers and sellers, and it tracks the 14 periods. So we remember that this really back in the bear market days when this first was starting, we saw that we came up, hit the 50% level, and then sold off all the way until we came into the 25% oversold level, right on the RSI, coming off this green little band. Remember, this is the RSI bands. So when we come down into this green level here, that's when the market was 75% sellers. Okay, so we knew that was going to be a good buying opportunity. Um, and essentially it was. It did come a little bit lower, but essentially we built the base out of there. Look, we crossed over the 50% threshold, and now we became bullish. So as we got over the 50%, we came back, tested it right there, boom, up, tested the 50 level again right there, held it as support, kind of tested it one more time here on the weekly, and then we pushed up into the overbought territory, right? So this is oversold, and this is overbought on the weekly. So we're expecting to see some pretty big resistance at this 44,000 level. We know that the 75% mark right now is hanging out around 42,793. So anything above that is technically, um, a good risk off position. You will see big money start to scale out at these levels and just take the market depth, whatever is available for the buyers. They're gonna edge in their positions in the limit orders for the sellers. All right, so just keep that in mind. It's a big move. We tend to see big moves and then some sideways action. But that's what I wanted to show you on the weekly. And then the second thing is if you zoom into the daily chart, you can see really again that we've been pushing up on this daily RSI for quite some time. We finally got up there, right? We hit the 61.8. If I put the fib back on, look, we pushed up to the 61.8 and we really could not break above it. There was just too much uh, depth of market on the sell side to even get up over that. So that's big resistance. Now we have a pretty big daily engulfing bearish candle, which should set up the bear play for a little bit of a sell-off. So we know that the halvening is coming up, right? We're about 128, 20 some days away from the halvening. And from what I've seen is technically we kind of front run the rally, we front run the halvening, and then we kind of pull back right before it, or even like right on the same week as the halvening. It's kind of like a buy the rumor, sell the news type of deal that happens in Bitcoin. So this is totally expected. Q4 might be a little bit soft, might close a little bit soft. Same with Q1, and we'll be watching these levels, in the next couple of videos, making sure that we don't come too far. If we come below that 38.2, below 30K, then we might be in trouble. But I do think this is a nice move. We do have some room to the downside to play with now, and what we would do now on the fibs, right, is we would actually take this as the beginning of the downside move. If it happens, it might not happen, but we're trying to predict it. And we take it to the bottom there like that, and now we're looking for these retracements, right? So we're looking for that 50% and that 38.2. So a lot of confluence here with these fib levels right around this 30K mark. And it really wouldn't take much to start to get some panic in this market and pull back into 30K. It might not happen. Am I going to sell my coins? No, right? You should be able to handle this level of volatility at this point and not panic. But the TA does really help us to prepare for what could happen, right? So there could be potentially 30% downside off of this recent rally, and bulls make money, bears make money, pigs get slaughtered. The bears need their chance, right? The bears need to come in and bring this back into some sort of equilibrium and bring the indicators back into kind of normalcy, in my opinion. So we'll be watching this pretty closely here as the price action develops. But overall, pretty solid daily, bearish engulfing candle here that should get a follow through. So I'll be on every day, guys, just updating the price action. But as far as I'm concerned, this is just totally normal overbought conditions kind of selling off. And there really is no other explanation for the price action in Bitcoin sometimes other than just pure technicals and, the traders, making money intraday. All right, that's going to conclude my update today for Bitcoin. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you want to be updated with future videos, and I'll see you on the next one.